All right, everybody, we have an exciting new project here at Owen Automotive. And just give you a hint at what lies ahead with this motor. You can see the cylinder head here with its original gold paint. What's going on? What's going on? Well, it's just arriving out back. Let's go have a look. Hey, come on, guys. Oh, there it is. Look at that. There's the man himself. There's Andy. Hey, Andy. That thing is way up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
Wow. Okay, Andy, you were the first to really lay hands on this car and see it in its original spot. And that was 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 years ago. And yeah, it was something else. I do a lot of moves, a lot of crazy cool stuff, a lot of bat caves, as I call it. But this one, even though I'm, like you say, I like American muscles, but I've always loved the E-Types, because how couldn't you? But this was a lot more spectacular. The find, the barn find, the one that everyone talks about, peeling the door up. The car had sunk through the wooden floors up to the axles. It was a task to get it out without damaging it. But luckily we flawlessly got it out, both cars. There was another Jag in there too, and it was just something that, you know, I don't know what they felt like when they undid Tutankhamun's tomb, but you know what, I'm sure the feeling was pretty close to this. It might not have been a spectacular outcome, but I'll tell you, the vibe was there.
Right on, man.
And it was just a treat to be involved with this car, even for a short, you know, few hours. But man, oh man, it is a special car. Had a BA gas station map sitting across the seat. How the rodents didn't get in that car was unbelievable. It was so amazing. The interior on it was just...
Can you show us the interior?
Yeah, it's good. It's dusty now because it's been in a body shop, but the day I saw it, it was absolutely flawless inside.
Wow, look at that.
They've taken some stuff apart and stuff, but I'm telling you, when we first, I was the first one to open this door in so many years. The map was sitting across here. It was just, I was just so taken by this car. This is a car that, even though, like I say, I'm not totally British car guy, although I do love them, I think of this car a lot. Because it's just one of those, you know? It's a spectacular automobile.
Look at the color here. The vibrant color on the door panel. Look how crisp it is.
It is. I mean, even when we open the hood, I mean, look at stuff like this. Where do you see this still, you know, in the car? This is what I was talking about. Like, this is what I mean. Like, when we open the car, how all these era-correct trinkets just in the car. Like, and it was just wild to think that somebody drove it in that garage. I mean, even here, you know,
how
like
crisp it looks. This aluminum dash. That's beautiful.
It is. It is.
This is gonna clean up.
Oh, this is a really special car. It's just a step above.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm super excited.
I'm envious. I'm excited for you guys too.
Awesome.
But
Thanks, Andy.
It was very special.
Yeah, it still is. Yeah.
Yes, and it's just gonna get better and better with the love that you guys will put in.
Right on. Hey, thanks.
It's just it's a wonderful thing. And how do you not like an E-Type, no matter what kind of car?
Here, let's look at the profile here. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Andy. You brought us a treasure, safe and sound.
It's in good hands, and it's gonna have a good life. You know, the future's gonna be good for this car.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Got a really exciting project at Owen Automotive. An early 3.8 E-Type fixed head, all original, one owner car. Does it get any better than that? And I just want to thank Andy for his perspective, first hauling this car out of the original owner's garage 2.5 years ago. I think that's pretty neat to see his enthusiasm for a British car, even though he's an American car guy. And yeah, so this car we bought it in pieces. This is just the shell. It was sitting at an auto body shop, and they couldn't really figure out what to do, whether or not to conserve or fully restore this shell. And so all this part of the car hasn't been touched. It's never been apart. But all the mechanicals have been fully rebuilt by an expert here in town. Got the rear end, the transmission, the engine, thoroughly rebuilt. So it was kind of a neat purchase. We were able to buy an all original shell, and all the mechanical systems of the car fully rebuilt. So a bit of a guarantee there. Now this shell has never been taken apart, and it's extremely low mileage, all original shell, nobody's messed with it. So we're gonna see lots of really cool early details. One thing my dad noticed is that in these sugar scoops, you can see they painted black paint around the edge of the hood just in case it showed through on the chrome. I think that's pretty neat. And it wasn't held down with rubber, just some mastic. So I think that's pretty interesting as well. Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot of neat details that we see on this car. So what I wanna do is I wanna get it off this blasting stand, get it off the blasting stand, get it on the hoist, clean it up a bit, see what we got. Because we need to decide today if we're doing a full restoration on this or just gonna clean it and assemble it and drive it as you see here. Pretty exciting stuff. Let's get into it. Okay, let's take it off the stand. Okay, got my lightsaber here. Let's take a tour underneath this car, underneath this 1962 fixed head. It's an unbelievably straight and rust-free car. I mean, look at the underside of this nose. It's never been curbed, never been hit. Honest Jaguar lines. This is what I love to see. Now the motor's out, of course. But you just look at the picture frame here. These are always jacked on and messed up. This one's really nice, can just preserve that. The suspension here, I think I can still see some of the CAD plating. If you look all the way up in here, into the hood, you can still see the original crayon marks from the factory. How cool is that? Definitely gonna preserve that, no matter what happens to this car. Now the floors on the bottom side are incredible. This is a car that has the dished floors that makes it easier for taller drivers to use the car. And it's one of the first that used these, so this is really close to flat floor production without it actually being a flat floor. Of course, this is where the reaction plate attaches to in the torsion bar. So we can keep going back. This is where the rear suspension goes. Of course, it's out of the car too. It's been fully rebuilt. You can see those access panels up in there. That's only a feature on early cars. And again, lots of heavy undercoat. This is the way they came from the factory, this black undercoat. And then in the wheel wells, I see some paint. So it looks like the undercoat went on, then they painted the outside of the car, and they painted the wheel wells, both the front and rear. I'll have a look at that really quickly for everybody as well. Belly pan, nice and straight. Yeah, this is one amazing body shell. What a privilege to work on such a nice, straight, original car like this. I'll just show you the front wheel wells too. Car's on snow tires. When do you see E-Type on snow tires? So you can see here, the inner fender at the front is also, it has the black undercoat with the body color painted on top. That's the way this car was delivered from new. And I believe this car is white primer. That's that white color there. This car doesn't have red oxide primer, it has white primer underneath the paint. You can see the headlight pod there was painted black. So yeah, awesome starting point. Now let's get to the top side and detail this car and see how good it looks when we clean it all out. We're getting there. This car looks so much better after taking off that body shop dust. And upon quick evaluation, I think this is 100% original gunmetal as sprayed in 1962. And that's a claim I don't think many E-Types can hold, especially an early 3.8 car. Now, my job today is make this outer finish look as best as it can, because today we're deciding whether or not we conserve it or we restore it and respray it. So important decisions are gonna be made today. And I just wanted to make the car look complete, so I want to put in the headlight glass and chrome finisher. Before I do that though, have a look at this original Lucas PL. Crisp and clean. Love seeing that. And this sugar scoop itself, so this is called the sugar scoop. And it fits really nicely to the body with no gaps. There's no gaps, you don't see any screws poking through. That's the way these cars should be. And also, as I pointed out earlier, the flange here is painted black and there's some mastic around the edge. That's because these early cars use a different seal. I'll show you what I mean over on the bench here. The seal is just like a U-section seal. And that's way different from the later cars. I don't even know if you can buy this. So I'm gonna fit these to the car and hopefully make it look a lot better. You gotta be careful with this. This rubber doesn't really seat on here very well. Okay. Fits like a glove. All right, now since we saw the car last, I've been cleaning it up. I did a light polish, foam polish on the roof here, and it came up just splendid. The original gunmetal paint is totally fabulous. See if we can get some of the grain here. It's a super fine metallic, and I would say it's not really warm or cool. It's just a really, really neutral gray color. And it came up just lovely. It's the best part of the car. I just love it. And we'll do a tour all the way around. So the rear hatch, this is all original paint. It's not sitting quite right. I'll show you what I mean. Could do an adjustment here because it's sunken on the driver's side. And I think that's causing it to close slightly awkwardly. Here we see the original bumper, all the original seals looking old. Really telltale signs that this car hasn't been touched. A little bit of corrosion on this leading edge. And in here, we have Lucas license plate lights. You can see the way these cars were put together originally, kind of rough under here in this area typically. The license plate light here looking kind of green, but it's original. Now this bumper here, it is kind of crusty, showing a bit of corrosion, so I think we're gonna get this re-chromed, take it off, get it re-chromed. Re-chrome the original, you better believe it. Anything that's coming off this car is going right back on. Now this side of the car is a dream come true. All original paint, no drama. It's the best angle for this car if I just was able to step back here and get the rear passenger side 3/4. It's really amazing. Now the passenger side door, it wangs out a bit. All E-types do this, but this one's a little more severe. So I'll try to adjust it inward, just get it seating a little better. And have a look at the rubber in there. Looking kind of perished, but a telltale signs that this is an all original car. It has all original glass. See the triplex logo there. The old door handle. Now come to the hood. I did do a light cut on the hood. I wanted to see what was underneath the oxidization layer. And the front, it definitely has some battle scars. Show you what I mean. So there's some spidering in the paint and some staining. I don't even know how this is possible. You see, for instance, around this corrosion area, how it's kind of darker all the way around it. I don't know what causes that. Does anybody know? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious why this is looking like this. I know that the car was near some salt water, and maybe that has something to do with this spidering effect. This front bumper we're also gonna re-chrome. So yeah, it's really gonna be a preservation, conservation kind of project here. We're not gonna respray and redo this car, although the temptation is there to make it look perfect. But then it would be like every other E-Type. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we fully restore this car or keep it as is? See the original mirror here, a Talbot mirror. Love to see that, very expensive mirror. Fitting for the cost of the car. And a bit more paint damage here, which we're just gonna have to live with. It's part of this car's history. This is the original windscreen. It has a few chips in it, so we'll get those repaired, and a slight bit of D-lam in the corner, but that's fine. And this door has been repainted. It's the only part of the car that doesn't have original paint. I don't know if my light will show it here, but it just has a different texture compared to the rest of the car. And what really teed me off was the fact that there's some paint here in this door seal. And yeah, so that's the tour of the exterior. Pretty much 90% original paint except for that one door. You can kind of see a different color there too. Yeah. But the real treasure of this car is the interior. So let's get in there and see what it looks like. Look at that. Look at that, everybody. Original 1962 interior. What do you think? I'm in love. So I had a chance to wipe out that dust. And this is going to be my favorite part of this car, just conserving, cleaning, and restoring this interior, respecting all the original fits and finishes. Look at these bucket seats. Aren't they amazing? I'm going to put a lot of leather food in here and try to preserve this leather as best we can and really not mess with Mona Lisa. How about this aluminum? Isn't that lovely? Nice and clean. Not going to polish it. Just going to clean it up just very slightly and try to make this look like it originally did in 1962. See the dashboard here. The ashtray here, that should go right here above the radio. I'm going to install it once we clean it all up. Yeah, so this steering wheel is pretty sweet. It's the early style that has the aluminum all the way around. And I'm just going to leave that alone. Go see the gauges here. 67,000 original miles. How about that? All the gauges are clean and crisp. All the switch gear's nice. The info strip looks good. Lovely. Even the original keys are in there. I love this shift boot and the radio. Yeah, a really, really nice package. A wonderful place to be. It smells wonderful in here. Yeah, I just love it. Look at this. Even the headliner looks good. How about that? All right, let's have a look at this rear trunk area. Original upholstery just shining at me. Look at the mohair on the wheel wells. Isn't that just tremendous? Contrasting with that tobacco tan vinyl. I just love it. Now check out this spare tire area. Isn't that clean and crisp? No rust, no drama. Have a look in there. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet indeed. Now the fuel tank's out. And it looks like there was some sort of anti-corrosion, I don't know, something smeared on there all over the place around the tank. I'm not sure if that's original, but you know, it just might be. You have a look here at the hinges that hold the rear door on. These don't have a protective cup around them. Both in the bottom one too. And of course, like all 3.8s, it has this this prop rod that's manually actuated. And this piece of trim that goes around, this rubber trim, I think that's pretty much unobtainium that goes all the way around. Yeah, pretty amazing. Have a look at this stuff. The door itself, this panel looks amazing. Look at that. The original upholstery, not falling off. Usually these get susceptible to a bit of moisture and then that's it. They warp and the vinyl falls all apart. It's just cardboard behind there. So yeah, really exceptional stuff. Looks like it's never taken on water. How about that? Pretty amazing. Wow. Whew. All right, let's have a look under the hood. I haven't cleaned up in here. This is as it was delivered here to the shop. Of course, we got no engine, no running gear. That's all ready to go over here. Dad's having a look, taking a break. And there's a lot of really, really interesting original details that we're gonna have a look at in here. And we'll be looking a lot in this engine bay as the motor goes back in. I got a lot of cleanup to do. These engine subframes almost look white. So one of the things I first noticed was the electrical system. You see down here where the voltage regulator sits, and there's some labels there. How cool is that? And then here's where the battery is. It looks nice and solid, and we have the original lead helmet style connectors for the battery. And there's probably what has to be the original starter solenoid. And in an unusual setup, the early cars have the starter solenoid over by the battery here. Then there's this big thick cable that runs all the way around and goes over to the starter on the other side of the engine bay. You can see it ending right over here. Yeah, the firewall looks really neat. Got a Lucas screen jet holder there, the wiper motor, the engine stay bracket, some of the throttle linkage, and here's where the heater sits. It's been all rebuilt. Yeah, pretty cool. A lot of corrosion here on this splash panel. I'll probably put new splash panel rubber on here. You can see the original wiring harness here. I think it's been taped up by somebody. I don't think that's original, but I'm not sure. Could have been like that from the factory. Here's a small radio suppressor for the optional radio that's in there. You have a look at that wheel well there. It's been obviously painted body color in and over the undercoating. Now the heater intake here, it's fiberglass. It's a little different than the later cars. It's not wrinkle finish. You see gunmetal's painted over the original hardware here. And the hood stay. Go a little more forward now to the picture frame area. Hood hinges, they were originally cadmium plated, so I think a lot of that finish is long gone. Kind of tempted to replate those, but don't want to get carried away with this one. We're just getting it running. Let's move over to the other side. Okay, I got carried away. I couldn't help myself. I was cleaning up that chassis tag, and I just wanted to see what this firewall looked like. See the original paint here on the engine subframes and the firewall, and see all the original coatings. I just love it. So going into the numbers themselves, we can see this is car number, there it is, 885838. And that's effectively the chassis number, the vehicle identification number, and that'll be mimicked up here on what they call the picture frame. It's hard to see, it's a very faint stamping, but I see the 3 there at the end. I'm just gonna leave that the way it is. I don't need to scrape that down to bare metal to prove the point. Okay, back to the tag, engine number R4700-9. I'll just go over to that gorgeous cylinder head with the original gold paint over there, and there it is, 4700-9. Then I'll take you to the oil filter housing area, and the block is original too, so that's really nice to see. Now look at the gearbox here, EB3934 JSO. And on the main housing for the gearbox, there's the number. I think J stands for Jaguar, S for shaved gears. Not sure what the O stands for. Does anybody know? And finally, we have the body number, V2232. And if we look up here in the shroud, we can see the numbers in crayon right there from the factory. Isn't that neat? So just take a tour of the firewall. We can see the latch mechanism here, all in cadmium. We have Lin Reed bolts in cadmium, and that's the way it came from new. Now there's some touch-up paint on the bolt heads here that hold the frame to the firewall. These were originally black oxide. Now I know that some of these cars were delivered new with touch-up paint, and sometimes the dealers or the first owners would go crazy with this touch-up paint, and obviously that's what's happened with these bolts. This is the Lucas screen jet holder, the original one. I love the decal on there. I'll just try to peel it back and keep it on there and preserve it. Love the rubber detail on the bottom there holding the glass. Now we have the original glass bottle and the little motor that sits on top, so that'll be going right back in. We've got the wiper motor here. I wiped that away. We can see it's produced on the second week or the second month of 1962. Can't get it there. There it is. So that's nice to see the original wiper motor. And this engine subframe, just cleaned it up. It came up really, really nice. These are pretty exotic subframes. They're made of a lightweight alloy called Reynolds, I think 351 or 531. They're brazed together. You can see just a little bit of the brazing poking through here. And so these can't be welded, but I think these are going to be just fine the way they are. I'm not going to touch them. Now behind this screen, you can see the original nose hiding in there. And yeah, it looks really nice, undamaged. Now these hinges, they're looking pretty grungy. I know on the other side, they were looking pretty grungy. I think we're gonna take them out and get them plated. And the suspension as well, I'm toying with the idea of taking all the arms out and having them getting plated. And I think that'll be a good step. Awesome, well, that's a tour of the engine bay. Oh yeah, one last thing is this vehicle inspection sticker I forgot to show everybody. This was mandatory in the province here of British Columbia, and it kind of shows that this vehicle was last driving around 1976. How cool is that? All right, that does it for this episode of the Jaguar Fixed Head. I'm really excited about this project. Just doing a mechanical restoration and leaving all the original fits and finishes where they are. Not messing with the paint, not messing with the interior, just making sure this is a fully reliable and great driving E-Type. I think it's gonna be a real success. What does everybody think? What would you do? Would you fully restore this car, take it down to nothing, and rotisserie restore it? It's definitely something that this car kind of screams for, but I think it's kind of neat to leave as an artifact, preserve it, show everybody how these things were made. And that's what I'm gonna do in the future episodes. We're gonna pour over a lot of the components. We have the engine, the rear end, and I'll show you, we have tons of other parts, and we have a lot of the original pieces to fasten them with, a lot of the fasteners we're gonna plate up. And I think it'll be a neat journey to see this car back on the road. All right, well, that's it for this episode. As always, if you have any tips, tricks, comments, or trade secrets, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Oh yeah, and if everybody has a motif bar, please reach out to us. Okay, thanks for watching. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.